Right. So, first page, problem number 3. The instructions are that you'll graph a line through the points that it asks for, and then name the equation of the line. So the line, the first one that I see is the first one I said I was going to do was number 3, and that's DE. And so if I graph the line through those points, and you'll have a ruler here in a little bit, so you'll do this with a ruler, but the line that goes through those 2 points would look something. Oh my God, that's a huge line. Hold on a second. Woo, Nelly. That's a little better. Good. See, what you do is you graph the line, and I would recommend that you use a pencil and that you do it pretty lightly so you can kind of erase them as you go. Otherwise, the paper gets hard to read after a while if you just keep piling lines all over the place. So in the blank down there next to number 3, our job is to write the equation of the line. So we're going to start by writing y equals, of course, because like that's what we do. So we're going to write y equals. Now, what is the slope of that red line? Cody? Yeah, I mean, it's -2. I mean, there you could say it 100 different ways, but only one of them is perfect, and that is -2. So since the slope is -2, you can see that from point to point to point to point to point to point, it's simply down 2, right 1. So that's -2. So I'm going to write -2x. And then what goes after that part of the equation? Do you remember this from yesterday? Mm-hmm. The y-intercept, it's the place where the graph crosses the y-axis, which in this case is this purple point right here. Remember, I'm not interested in this one up here. That's the x-intercept. Don't worry about that. So it crosses at -1, 2, 3, 4. So at the end of my equation, I'm just going to put a -4. And then it's one of these are all jokey puzzle pages. I love these things. So I'm going to go to the bottom of the page and I'm going to find my answer. Y equals -2x minus 4. Search around for it a little bit. There it is over there, TH. So I'm going to go to the bottom, and in the box, since I just did problem 3, I'm going to go to the boxes that have the numbers 3 in them, and I'm going to put the letters that went with the code TH. So down on the bottom, I will put a T and an H, just like that, since that's what the code told me to do. So any questions on the first page? Okay, the second page, yeah. I'd like you to graph the lines. The next page is just graphing lines based on equations that are given. So this page is actually really, really pretty straightforward. The one thing you'll notice right away about all these is that they're all solved for y. And that makes them ready to graph, right? I mean, because that's what we're going to have to do on the next pages. So let's say we were going to do, I don't know, like question number 6. So question 6 is right here. You can see it. Where would I begin my graphing journey at, Cody? Up 3. So I'm going to go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and put my first point. And what is the slope of this line? Remember, you're only allowed to use the words up, down, right, and left. If you say over, I'm going to come after you. You want to go down 3 for sure, and then you have a decision to make. And if you go left, then unfortunately you've double dinged the negatives and your line turns back uphill. So we do want to go down 3 and right 2. Now, the rule with graphing lines is you want to graph as many points as a piece of graph paper will hold. Sometimes it's not a lot. In this case, I can do more. I can go down 3 and right 2 another time. And I could even go back to my reset point and go up 3 and back to the left 2. So I just really hope that you learn from me this year just keep it simple understanding of slope, that you just have to know if it's positive or negative, and then you worry about the ratio. You know, if you ever stuck going, God, I don't know if I should go right or left, just answer the question by asking yourself, how's the line supposed to tilt? So when you graph this line, the idea is that it's going to pierce through a letter on the outside. And you can see in this case, there's 3 letters loitering outside. There's this I, and then there's this R, and then there's this H down here. Clearly ours is intended to pierce the letter H. So the code cracking here, I think you probably don't need a cryptography degree to figure this out, but it was problem 6, and the line pierced the letter H. So we're going to go to the bottom, and any box we see that has a number 6, we're going to put the letter that it pierced, in this case H. A couple more things I need to say, and then I'm out of the way. Let's see. Your other two worksheets, it's a packet of four. It's two pieces of paper, but front and back. So there's 4 pages on it total. What changed right away on this page? What do you notice? Yeah, Mia. Well, yeah, I mean, we have to graph them, and we did that on the page before, but what, Luke, has changed? What's different now? Right, we have to do math. And so this is one where we're going to get out a separate sheet of paper for these. I don't imagine you're going to need any paper for pages 1 and 2, but starting here, there's work to do. So I thought we should just do one together just to show you kind of what my expectation is. And as always, you can have some of my paper. It's just when we get there, we'll worry about that. So let's just say we were going to do problem 6. So we'd have our piece of scratch paper all labeled and we'd be on problem 6. And the first thing we would do is copy the problem down onto our scratch paper. And this is not ready to graph because, again, y isn't by itself. It's not in the format that we want. So what would we do first? But get rid of the 3x first off. We know this. We did a whole 2 assignments on this where we remember, okay, we got to get the x over to the other side. So that's going to leave us with the negative 5y on the left. And then the 3x is going to turn positive like this on the right. What's the last thing we have to do?
You divide by 5.
We have to divide everything by negative 5, which results in the final answer, which is negative y equals negative 3/5 of x minus 2. If you struggle with that, I would just encourage you to go back and ask yourself, did I do those other assignments? But I can help you, of course. That's just getting y by itself. And then I'm going to go back to my graph paper, and now I'm going to graph the equation that I just created. So where am I going to start this graph? Down 2 is correct, right? And we go down 2, and then what's the slope? Yes, down 3 and right 5. 1, 2, 3 is a perfect answer, but I can also go back up to the up 3 and to the left 5. Remember, you get the same relative tilt. Slope is just, it's all there is to it, man. You make the tilt whatever you need it to be, use as much space as you can. So there's your line. Clearly, when we graph the line on this one, what letter is it going to pierce? H. So same code cracking. You go to box 6 and put an H. And the last page is really more of the same. I just wanted to point out to you, there's first off, there's a lot of horizontal and vertical lines on the last page. So, we talked about this yesterday. If you're listening right now, then I won't have to answer this later. What do I do when it's just an X? Well, that's a vertical line. What do I do when there's no X, just a Y? Well, that's a horizontal line. That's all stuff we should have absorbed from yesterday's work. The real thing I wanted to talk about on this page is what to do with fractions. So I will say that some fractions don't bother me. So I'm just going to make one up. Like this. So stay with me here. How would I get y by itself?
You take 7x and bring it to the other side.
Yeah, tuck it right where that arrow's pointing. So my next line would say 2y equals what?
Negative 7x.
Negative 7x minus 11. And then what's the last thing we have to do?
2.
Now, when we do that, we're going to get a couple of fractions. And again, kudos to those of you that are still listening. I mean, I don't think I'm asking that much. I've only had you for 10 minutes. So if you're already fidgety and squirrely, you might want to get that checked out. The y equals the slope part, I like it when it's a fraction. This first one doesn't bother me at all. So when I go to find the slope of this line, it's just negative 7/2. That fraction causes me absolutely no stress because it literally means to go down 7, right 2. I'm cool with that. It's this next one that I have to go around every single year and talk to person after person after person. And this is what I want to avoid. If I put this, which under normal circumstances is fine, listen to the answers that we sometimes get to this question. Here comes my question. Where do I start this graph at? Good. And that's not the answer that I normally get. So the answers that I normally get are, can you come help me with this? So the thing is that if I asked you to go to a location If I said to go down 5, you'd go down 5. If I said go up 4, you'd go up 4. The trouble is 11 halves is really an awkward thing for us to say, right? And do exactly what Luke did. If you ever get a y-intercept like this that's disagreeing with you, like it doesn't play nice, then I want you to make it into a mixed number, or even a decimal would be fine. So this just goes back to something that someone probably in fourth or fifth grade taught you, and that is that when numbers can't divide, sometimes you can divide them and just put a mixed number. And 11 divided by 2 is 5 with 1/2 left over. So we would be wise in scenarios like this. Instead of writing it as minus 11 over 2, we'd be wise to write it as minus 5.5. Because now when I say to you, where do we start the graph? Everybody knows go down 5 and halfway to 6.